Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender playing a couple that are spies. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Would you kill for me, George? Would you?
Black Bag is directed by Steven Soderbergh and written by David Koepp. The film stars Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, Marisa, Abela, Tom Burke, Naomie Harris, Regé-Jean, and Pierce Brosnan. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, when intelligence agent Catherine Woodhouse is suspected of betraying the nation, her husband, also a legendary agent, faces the ultimate test of whether to be loyal to his marriage or his country. Though not recognized as other directors like Spielberg or Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, or even something like David Fincher, Steven Soderbergh has had a very interesting directing career for a very long time, starting with stuff like the Ocean's trilogy. Say what you will about the sequels, but hey, everyone loved that first film that he did, and for it to be a pretty much a remake of the original Ocean's film, pretty impressive. And then, of course, you have the Magic Mike trilogy, which not my cup of tea, but hey, it's got fans out there. There are people that love those movies, so hey, props to you for liking them. And then, of course, you have something like Haywire, which he did, and then something like Logan Lucky, and he even did one in 2020, I believe, with something like Kimmy, which I would like to watch both Logan Lucky and Kimmy because I heard they're really, really good. To kind of really relate this to one of his movies, I wasn't a fan of Haywire. So I wasn't crazy about it. It was an action spy espionage type of movie, and I just wasn't insane for it, especially now for the main actress of that movie, who I now despise, was not crazy compared to how most critics saw that film. So I didn't have huge expectations with this movie in particular when I heard that this was being made. Because, again, I mean, yeah, I'm not like a crazy follower of his, but like, hey, I mean, it's another movie of his. And plus, also, too, you got some really interesting stars in this film. Again, like I said, Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, excellent, talented actors in this movie. After seeing the trailer, I was turned around and I actually was now starting to be interested in this because the tone was a little bit serious, but really too, there wasn't so much quick cut editing because that was my main complaint with something like Haywire, or even how the cinematography was. I was not crazy about how that film looked. I will say, having now seen this film, okay, now having watched it all, I was surprised and I thought it was very engaging. I thought it was a really intriguing spy film, and I am glad that I actually gave this movie a chance and went out and saw it, and I really liked it. Aside from maybe like one issue with this film, and yes, listen, I always wish like when a movie's so amazing, I want to give it a perfect score, but there is one thing that holds me back from it. Before giving my one gripe with it, here are my positives. The performances are all excellent across the board. Everyone in the cast, but especially Blanchett and Fassbender, they carry this entire film very well, and truly making this movie as investing as it is, because in order for this movie to work, you have to have leads, or at the very least, actors that are conveying a marriage. And both Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, they work in this movie. They work seamlessly. There's not a moment in this film where I don't believe that their relationship is fake or not conveying any sort of chemistry. Their relationship feels real, and I really was intrigued by most of, if not all, the performances that are in this entire movie. It is amazing on how well these actors are. Even with something like a little bit of like Pierce Brosnan in this movie, which he's not in it much, he's still amazing in it. It's impressive to me on how much these actors really sink their teeth into this movie and make sure that you are being as invested in this film as they are. The direction is fluid. Director Steven Soderbergh delivers an intriguing, intense film that keeps it going with each twist and turn, showcasing his serious tone and nature. I'm very glad that at the very least, with something like Haywire, I feel like he was trying so much to make it feel like a 60s film. With this feels like true espionage. Real and grounded feeling of how tension is built throughout this entire movie. And it's worked so well because of how Steven Soderbergh is able to approach this with an angle of the grounded tone and feeling of it. And for him to really pull it off oh so well, it's impressive to see how much this movie can keep you really glued to the screen as the movie goes along. The writing is engaging. Writer David Koepp knows how to ramp up conversations and keep the audiences following along, feeling like a throwback to, like I said, those 1960s or even maybe even 70s espionage movies. How, like, those movies kept those tensions going. Sure, maybe there are some areas of the writing that hasn't aged well, but for the most part, what those movies worked and why most people remember those movies fondly more with regards to being spy movies is because of how much the writers for those films were able to build tensions. Even something that isn't like a super conventional spy film, but rather a thriller, it knows how to build on the story. It knows how to build on the suspense that the audience is looking for. And David Koepp, he does that really well. I was also surprised that there was also quite a bit of comedy in this. I wasn't expecting that, yet somehow it was actually pulled off very well. It actually felt right. It didn't feel like it was thrown in there for the sake of it wanting to throw in a comedy bit. No, it actually worked. It actually landed. And I was really surprised. Even when I was sitting in my theater, I had a couple of people actually laughing. Genuinely, I was really blown away by how well David Koepp actually kept this as tight and as narrow focus as he did. The story is investing. Watching this man trying to uncover the mole and the potential of his wife being that said mole, it really felt like a classic spy plot, going for a more realistic and grounded style that most other spy films of today don't usually go for. Not a lot of movies like this, or even shows, try to go for something like this, where this is more conversational approach. All right, if you're looking for action, you're gonna be disappointed because there is none of that. The amount of times that there are action, it's just like one tiny suspenseful part of the film, and that's it in terms of like an action moment. Otherwise, be ready for this to be as character and really conversational driven than what most people are used to in this day and age. But hey, if you're looking for that, came to the right place with this movie because yeah, it does work on that level. And for Fassbender's character, George Woodhouse, to really uncover if his wife is the mole or just any one of the moles in this movie is really fascinating. And I felt myself glued to that screen while it kept on going. The cinematography is atmospheric. Cinematographer P. Andrews is consistent but knows how to be focused on the film's plot, never slipping up or loosening up on the stylistic vibes that the movie is going for. Like I said, grounded, grittier approach. And there is an amazing one take at the beginning of this movie where it's just following George. He's just going through an area, he's just walking through there, and it's all done in one take. There's not a moment where there's a part where it was cut up in editing or you could tell when there's a transitional part. No, all one take, all done really, really well. And for this movie to really capture that grounded approach, I really liked how much that he kept to that. The music is eerie. Composer David Holmes approaches in executing the dreaded feelings of uncertainty and suspense as the movie continues on was really good, adding to the already tense tone by elevating it even more. I like when a score like this can elevate a movie, can gradually increase the feeling of what this movie is trying to be. And for this film to execute it on that level, that works really well. The movie's already tense, but for a score to even add more tension to it, I think that's really successful, and it shows that you have a composer who understands your director and your writer. The pacing runtime is quite amazing. Every scene flows so well that it never dulls out, nor does it feel like it's rushing through so much of it. With a runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes, it's impressive on how tight this all feels. For a movie that is only an hour and a half, that's pretty impressive. I've never seen a movie like this manage to say what it needs to say and knows when to get out. Especially for a spy film. Again, we're living in an age where everything is 2 hours, and listen, I am okay with that when it feels right. And when a movie like this comes along and is less than that, I am impressed. I am really surprised that they managed to do that, that they managed to pull that off really well. The editing is solid. Each scene feels precise and well put together, making sure that it does feel as consistent as it is. The editing in this movie could have gone so wrong. Like I said, haywire. My biggest criticism with that movie really is the editing and how choppy and messy that film was. This feels just what it needs to be, how precise it is, how accurate that it needs to be with regards to how scenes should flow and how they should end. Didn't feel like it was all messed up in the editing bay. It all felt like it was all precise and all planned out from beginning to end. The production is pretty stellar for a budget of $50 million. People, $50 million. You just saw my review for The Electric State and how I said that that movie's budget, as much as yeah, the visuals in that movie were great, I don't think it needed to be that much. Okay, $320 million. No, $50 million. Now we're working with something, and it all looks good, and it's of high quality. This could be on the same level as a big blockbuster type of movie. And while I do think that yes, it's not a blockbuster, I'm just saying the quality is really good. From the sets and locations, having this all set in London made it all feel fantastic and very much feeling the dread and the scary tone of the world that we live in, but really to just the feeling of a spy film. And how that is all conveyed, it's executed very well. For as much as this film is amazing, there is one issue with this film that hurts this project. Here is my only negative. The villain is underwhelming. Though I will not say it because it would spoil who it is. Their motivation was a bit generic, and it all just kind of felt a bit lackluster by the end. Once it is revealed, and while I understand that their reasoning in one part, okay, fine, but there's another part of it where it's like, I feel like you just also did this for money. You didn't really do this because you care, but because you just did it for money. That's it. You did it for a payment. I do think the villain's motivation could have been a little bit more stronger than what was kind of executed by the end. In the end, I was pleasantly surprised with how well this turned out. I really didn't know if this was going to be a good or great movie, or if I would have even seen this, because who knows? There was a lot of movies coming out this weekend, so hey, I may have not been able to catch this, but I'm really glad that I gave this a chance. That for a movie that I know will not get much attention, which is sad, but hey, I was willing to take the risk, and it paid off for me. I'm gonna give Black Bag a 9 out of 10. I think this movie is an amazing, well-crafted film that I feel like not a lot of people are gonna see, which is terrible. It sucks. But if anybody is looking for something really good, if you're actually asking me what should I watch, you give me something that is of good quality, I really recommend this movie. This movie's not going to get the attention. I mean, The Electric State or even Novocaine is getting more attention. I'm not throwing shade at Novocaine. The Electric State, I kind of am. But hey, that's just me. That's just how I'm feeling. You don't have to. But I'm just saying, if you want to, give this a watch. You'd be surprised. So now I will be soon doing a review for Snow White, the original, before doing the live action remake very soon. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other reviews coming soon.